Space was quiet, as it always was. Stars burned far away, and the void seemed endless. But on this day, something broke the silence. A strange signal appeared on the screens inside Terran Fleet Command. It was weak, broken, and full of fear. It was an SOS, an urgent cry for help, but it was not human. Commander Rian Hale stood in the center of the command room, staring at the strange waveforms. The signal repeated again and again, like a voice trying to survive the darkness. It did not match any known alien language. It was something new, something unknown. The audio finally became clear enough to understand a few words. The voice was shaking. "Please, anyone out there, they are coming, run, please." Everyone in the room froze. This was not a regular distress call. It was a last breath, a final scream from someone watching their world fall apart. Rian felt a cold shiver move down his spine. Humanity had once answered many calls in the galaxy. Some were friendly, some were traps. But this one felt different. It felt real. It felt like someone far away was dying and begging for mercy. "Where is the signal coming from?" Rian asked. A young officer checked her console. Her hands were trembling. "Unknown region, sir. Deep space. Far beyond map borders. No colonies. No known species. Nothing. The signal is coming from a dead zone." A dead zone meant danger. No ships went there. No mobs existed. No help could reach in time. Yet the SOS had crossed all that distance to reach humans. The Fleet Council gathered quickly. Generals, admirals, scientists, they all discussed the same question. Should humanity go? Some argued it was a trap. Others said it was a chance to discover new allies. But Rian, standing quietly at the side, understood something they didn't say out loud. Humanity could not ignore a cry for help. Not after centuries of fighting to prove their place in the galaxy. Not after losing so many good people in wars against hostile species. They cannot turn away. He spoke softly but with strength. If we ignore this SOS and the voice dies, we will never forgive ourselves. We must go. The council hesitated, but in the end, they agreed. Within hours, the Terran expedition fleet prepared to jump into the unknown. Battleships, scouts, and carriers. More than 50 ships stood ready. Engines glowed bright blue. Armor plates shimmered. Soldiers checked their gear. Pilots kissed their dog tags. Engineers whispered quick prayers. No one knew what waited for them. No one knew if they would return. As the countdown reached 0, the fleet jumped into deep space. The stars stretched like silver lines. Space folded around them. The universe blurred. When the fleet arrived, something strange happened. For a moment, all sensors shut down. Lights flickered. Screens went dark. It felt like something huge brushed past the ships, like a shadow moving in the void. Rian felt it too. A pressure. A presence. When the sensors came back online, the fleet saw the truth. The star ahead of them was dim and dying. Planets were broken. Large pieces of rock floated in space like giant grave markers. Everything was silent, empty, and dead. And floating there, in the middle of the dark system, was a small ship. The source of the SOS. Its hull was broken. Lights were off. No life signs came from inside. But the signal, the desperate, shaking voice, was still playing. "Please, help, they are coming." Rhea took a deep breath. Something terrible had happened here. And whatever they were, they might still be close. The Terran fleet moved slowly into the Dead Star system. Every ship kept shields up and weapons ready. No one spoke much. The silence of the system felt heavy, like the whole place was holding its breath. Commander Rian Hale stood on the bridge of the flagship HFY Horizon, watching the broken planets on the main screen. It was like someone had smashed the worlds with giant hands. Cracks ran across their surfaces, glowing faintly, as if something had sucked the life out of them. "This is wrong," Rian whispered. "A whole system cannot die like this." His science officer, Dr. Lexa Min, stared at her screen with a worried face. "Sir, the sun is dying unnaturally. It was healthy only a few thousand years ago. Something drained it. Something drained the sun?" Even speaking those words felt dangerous. The fleet moved deeper. No signs of life. No radio waves. No heat. Nothing. The whole system felt like a grave. But then, there it was. The small alien ship drifted slowly between the broken rocks. Its hull was torn. Burn marks stretched across its body. One side looked like it had been melted by extreme heat. "It's the SOS source," Lexus said. "But I detect no movement inside." Rian nodded. "Prepare boarding team." A small squad launched from the horizon and flew toward the alien vessel. Their spotlight cut through the darkness, revealing strange writing on the ship's side. Symbols curved like claws, patterns that almost moved if someone stared too long. As the soldiers opened the airlock, a cold mist escaped. The inside looked like a nightmare. Walls dented, doors ripped open, strange burn marks everywhere. Something had attacked the crew, something powerful. Soldier Grant whispered, "Sir, what happened to these people?" "Keep moving," Rian answered through comms. Then something strange happened. The ship's lights flickered on for a second, just for a heartbeat. A shadow moved at the far end of the corridor. Before the soldiers could react, everything went dark again. "Commander," Lexus said from the horizon, "I'm picking up an energy pulse near the third moon." Rian frowned. "Show it." The screen zoomed in. Behind the moon, something enormous moved. Something that almost blended with space itself. It was long, sharp, and covered in glowing red lines like veins. It did not look like a ship. It looked alive. "What is that?" someone whispered on the bridge. Lex's face went pale. "It is not giving any readable signature, like it absorbs our scans." Rian felt ice in his chest. "Is it watching us?" He didn't get an answer, because at that moment, the drifting alien ship suddenly started broadcasting the SOS again, louder than before, almost screaming into every human ship. "Please, they're still here. Please run." The boarding team jumped. The walls shook as if something hit the alien vessel from outside. "Commander," Grant shouted. "Something is moving around the ship. Something big." The lights flickered again. This time, the shadow at the end of the hallway was closer. Much closer. Rian made a choice instantly. "Boarding team, fall back. Return to the shuttle. Now." As the team rushed back, something slammed into the alien ship's hull. The impact echoed through space. The human soldiers barely made it inside the shuttle before the alien ship twisted as if crushed by invisible force. The fleet raised weapons, but the huge shadow slid back behind the moon, vanishing like smoke. "Sir," Lexus said softly, "whatever destroyed this star system, it's still here. And it knows we arrived." Rian looked at the broken ship, now collapsing into itself like a dying creature. The SOS had been a warning, and they were already too close. The Terran fleet stayed in formation, weapons ready. Everyone expected the shadow behind the moon to return. But the darkness stayed quiet for a long moment, as if the system itself was waiting. Commander Rian Hale stood on the bridge with a tight jaw. "We need answers," he said. "We need to know who sent the SOS and what destroyed this place." The boarding team's shuttle docked with the horizon. As soon as the doors opened, the soldiers stepped out quickly, breathing hard like they had escaped death. Grant, the lead soldier, looked shaken. "Sir," he said, "we were not alone inside that ship. Something moved in the dark." Rian placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "You're safe now. Tell me what you found." Grant swallowed. "A cryo chamber, Commander. One pod still active. The cryopod. The final hope of the dead ship." "Bring it to the med bay," Rian ordered. The med bay lights were soft and cold. Scientists gathered around the cryopod, which was cracked in places but still functioning. The alien inside was thin, pale, and covered with strange markings. Its breathing was slow, weak, almost gone. Dr. Lexa Min activated the warming cycle. "We have to be careful," she said. "If we wake it too fast, it might die." Rian nodded. "Do it slowly. We need to hear what it knows." The alien's eyes opened suddenly, dark, wide, and full of terror. It gasped and tried to pull off the wires, but its body was too weak. "You are safe," Lexus said softly. "We are human. We found your SOS." The alien stared at them with fear and relief mixed together. "You came." Its voice was rough, broken. "We hoped someone would hear." Rian stepped closer. "We heard you. Tell us. What happened to your world?" The alien shook its head slowly, tears gathering in its strange eyes. They came, it whispered. They took the sun. They broke our sky. They consumed everything. Rian felt the room grow colder. Who came? He asked. The alien made a sound between a sob and a breath. The harvesters. Everyone in the med bay froze. The alien continued, voice trembling. They do not speak. They do not stop. They destroy stars to feed. They killed our worlds. They killed our children. Its voice cracked. We sent the SOS to warn someone, anyone, before they reached the next galaxy. Rian exchanged a look with Lexa. So the shadow behind the moon. The alien nodded weakly. It is one of their scouts. If it saw your fleet, they already marked you. They follow energy. They follow life. A chill went through every human in the room. Rian spoke carefully. How many of these harvesters are there? The alien closed its eyes, memories shaking its body. A swarm. Thousands. Maybe more. They have one mind. One hunger. When they choose a system, it dies. Lexa whispered, we shouldn't be here. But the alien's eyes opened again, full of pain. You should run. But if you run, they will follow you home. They always follow. Rian felt a heavy stone forming inside his chest. Before he could speak, alarms suddenly blared through the entire ship. Incoming energy spike. Unknown objects detected. Rian looked at the screen. The shadow behind the moon was no longer hiding. Several glowing shapes appeared. Sharp, blade-like forms sliding out of darkness. They moved fast, too fast, cutting through space like living weapons. The alien whispered one last warning. They found you. The harvesters were coming. And there was no escape. The alarms echoed through every hallway of the horizon. Red lights flashed, and officers ran to their stations. Outside, in the dead system, the dark shapes moved closer, silent, fast, and terrifying. Commander Rian Hale stood on the bridge, staring at the tactical screen. Report, he ordered, voice steady, even as fear tightened his chest. Multiple unknown contacts approaching, the sensor officer said. Speed is increasing. No IDS. No radio signals. They are quiet. Quiet was the worst thing. Enemy ships usually sent warnings, threats, or demands. These things sent nothing. Dr. Lexa Min studied the screen. The harvesters, she whispered. Their ships don't broadcast anything. They don't negotiate. Rian watched the glowing red lines on the approaching shapes. They looked like cuts in space itself, as if someone carved the darkness open. Fleet, hold formation, he commanded through the comms. Shields at maximum. Do not fire unless they fire first. The fleet shifted into a defensive circle. Fighters launched. Battleships moved into protective positions. The humans did everything by the book, but nothing could prepare them for what came next. One of the harvester's shapes suddenly bent, its form twisting like liquid metal, and shot forward with impossible speed. Before anyone could react, it slammed into the smallest human ship, TSF Pathwalker. The human ship didn't explode at first. Instead, its surface melted like wax near a flame. Then, with a horrible sound, it folded inward, collapsing into a ball of glowing metal before vanishing. In 1 second, the Pathwalker was gone. Gasps filled the horizon. What did it do? The sensor officer stammered. Lex's face turned white. It absorbed the ship's energy. It didn't destroy the Pathwalker. It ate it. Another harvester ship lunged, hitting a second human vessel. The same thing happened. Metal melting, lights flickering, a silent collapse. Open fire. Rian ordered. All ships, fire at will. Human battleships unleashed beams, missiles, and cannons. The dark shapes shuddered, but instead of breaking, they absorbed the hits like sponges soaking up water. They're adapting, Lexa said. They learn from every attack. The alien survivor in the med bay started screaming through the comm system. Stop firing. You are feeding them. They grow stronger with energy. Rian clenched his jaw. He had no choice. Cease fire. All ships cease fire. The weapons went silent. But the harvesters did not stop. They circled the human fleet slowly, like predators deciding which prey to eat next. "Commander," Grant said from the security station, "what do we do? We can't shoot. We can't run. We can't hide." Rian stared at the screen. Every instinct told him the same thing. These creatures didn't want to scare them. They wanted to understand them before consuming them. Suddenly, a harvester shape drifted close to the horizon. Its glowing red veins pulsed. It pressed itself against the ship's shields, making the metal vibrate. The sound was horrible, like a giant creature scraping its claws across steel. "They're scanning us," Lexa said. "Learning our structure. Learning our weaknesses." Rian turned to her. "How long before they break through?" Lexa swallowed. "Minutes." The alien survivor spoke again, voice weak but urgent. "You cannot fight them like normal enemies. They do not think like you. They do not fear like you. They only follow the strongest source of energy." "Then what do they want?" Rian asked. The alien hesitated. "They want your sun. They want your worlds. They want your home." Rian felt the weight of those words like a stone inside his chest. If the harvesters followed the fleet back to human space, billions would die. "We can't let them track us," he whispered. Outside, one of the harvester ships pulled back, as if preparing a final strike. Its glowing red veins spread wider, energy building like a growing storm. "Commander," Lexa said, voice shaking, "they're ready to attack again." Rian knew the next seconds would decide everything. The fleet had to survive. Humanity had to survive. But the shadows were closing in, and the harvesters were ready to take their next meal. The harvesters closed in like living blades of darkness. Their red veins pulsed brighter, feeding on the fear and energy around them. Every human ship felt small compared to these silent monsters. Commander Rian Hale stood on the bridge of the horizon, staring at the tactical display. For human ships were already gone. Others had damaged shields. The harvesters were learning faster with every second. "We cannot win a normal battle," Dr. Lexa Min said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried fear. "They absorb all attacks. They adapt instantly." Rian knew she was right, but running was not an option either. If the harvesters followed them home, Earth and every colony would be doomed. Suddenly, the alien survivor appeared on the medbay screen, struggling to breathe, but pushing out words with desperation. "There is one way," it said. "One chance. But the price is high." Rian leaned forward. "Speak." The alien closed its eyes for a moment, remembering horrors from its own world. The harvesters fear only one thing: uncontrolled energy. A massive overload. Something even they cannot absorb. It could destroy their hive ships and their collective mind. Lexa stiffened. "You mean a power overload big enough to burn their core?" The alien nodded weakly. "Yes, but to create such energy, many of your ships must sacrifice themselves." Silence spread across the bridge. Grant muttered, "You're asking us to die just to hurt them?" Rian raised a hand. "No, it's not asking. It's warning us. This is our choice." Lexa checked her screen. "Commander, it could work. If enough ships overload their reactors at the same time, we might generate enough energy to cripple the harvester swarm." "But how many ships?" Rian asked quietly. Lexa hesitated, then answered, "Most of them." The bridge went silent. The weight of the decision was crushing. Rian felt it like a blade pressing into his chest. These were his people, pilots, engineers, soldiers. They trusted him to bring them home. "Commander," Lexa whispered, "if we do nothing, we die here anyway." And the harvesters follow the survivors back to human space. Billions could die. Rian closed his eyes. He had taken oaths. He had sworn to defend humanity. And now he understood something terrifying. Only sacrifice could save their home. "Prepare the fleet-wide channel," he said. The comms officer nodded. "Channel open." Every surviving ship heard his voice. "This is Commander Rian Hale. We have discovered a way to stop the harvesters, but it comes with a cost. Some of us, maybe many, will not return." He paused, letting the truth settle. "But if we fail, the harvesters will reach human space. They will destroy Earth. They will destroy our families, our children, our future." Crew members across the fleet listened silently. Some held pictures of loved ones. Some wiped tears, Some stood tall already. "We are humanity," Rian said. "We answer calls for help. We protect life. And today we must protect every world behind us." He lowered his head slightly. "I am asking volunteers. We will not force anyone." The response came instantly. Ship after ship sent the same message. "We volunteer." Rian felt his chest tighten with pride and sorrow. Humanity always surprised him. In the darkest moments, they rose higher. "Begin preparing the overload cores," he ordered. "We will strike their hive ship first." But before the humans could begin the plan, the harvesters moved. All at once, every harvester ship turned, glowing veins brightening like burning fire. They began forming a massive pattern in space, a formation humans had never seen before. Lexa gasped. "They're preparing a full swarm attack. If they hit us first, we won't have time to overload anything." Rian's heart pounded. "Then we move faster," he said. The price of hope was coming, and humanity was ready to pay it. The harvester swarm formed a terrifying shape in space, like a giant red web stretching across the darkness. Every glowing line pulsed with deadly power. Humanity had only minutes before the full attack hit them like a burning wave. Commander Rian Hale stood firm at the center of the bridge. "All ships," he said, "begin overload preparations. We are out of time." Across the fleet, engineers opened reactor panels and exposed energy cores. Sparks flew inside the ships as power levels climbed. Higher than safe levels, higher than survival levels. Soldiers wrote short messages for their families. Pilots touched photos of people they loved. Commanders saluted their crews. They all knew what was coming. On the horizon, Dr. Lexa Min worked quickly at her console. "The overload will reach critical level in 8 minutes, she said. "After that, everything goes bright." Rian nodded. "That's all the time we have." Outside, harvester ships moved in perfect silence. Their glowing red veins brightened until they looked like burning lightning. "Commander," Grant said, "they're surrounding us." Rian looked at the screen. The harvesters were forming a ring around the human fleet, a cage made of red fire. "They want to trap us," Lexa whispered. "They know we're preparing something." Rian clenched his jaw. "Then we break the cage." He turned to the comms officer. "Order the volunteers to move forward. The horizon will lead." The volunteers, those who accepted death, pushed their ships into the center of the swarm. Their engines glowed bright as they positioned themselves for the overload. The horizon moved with them. Grant looked at Rian. "You're going with the volunteers?" Rian nodded once. "I won't ask them to die alone." Lexa swallowed hard, but she said nothing. She simply stood by her commander. The harvester swarm suddenly stopped moving. Then, everything happened at once. A harvester ship lunged at the horizon, hitting the shields with a blast that shook the entire vessel. Metal groaned. Sparks shot across the bridge. 2 officers fell to the floor. "They're starting," the sensor officer shouted. 8 harvester blades rushed toward the fleet. "Hold positions," Rian ordered. "Do not stop the overload." Human ships did not back away. They held the line, shaking, burning, but holding. The first harvester slammed into a volunteer ship. Instead of absorbing it, the creature recoiled. The energy inside the ship was unstable, dangerous. "They fear the overload," Lexus said. "It's working. They're backing off." But another harvester changed tactics. It opened its glowing red lines like a mouth and shot a beam of dark energy at the horizon. The shields flickered, cracked, and shattered. The horizon shook violently. Alarm screamed. Fire burst from a console. "Commander, we lost shields." Rian grabbed the railing. "We stay on course. We finish this." The overload timer reached 2 minutes. The harvester swarm closed in again, desperate to stop the human plan. Then the alien survivor's voice came over the speakers, weak but filled with emotion. "You, humans, you stand in the dark with courage. No one ever did this for us. No one fought the harvesters with hope." Rian whispered, "We're not fighting for victory. We're fighting to give life a chance." The overload reached 1 minute. Every human ship glowed with blinding blue-white energy, ready to explode. The harvester hive ship finally emerged, a massive creature made of metal and darkness. Its entire body pulsed with red veins. It opened a huge, glowing crack in its center. Lexa's voice shook. That is their core. That is what we must hit. Full speed, Rian ordered. The volunteers moved first, charging straight at the hive ship. The horizon followed behind them, engines screaming. The harvester swarm panicked, rushing to stop them, but the overload was too bright, too chaotic. 30 seconds. Commander, Lexa whispered. It was an honor. Rian looked at his crew, tired, scared, but brave. It was an honor for me, he said. 10 seconds. The hive ship loomed ahead, glowing like a red wound in the universe. 5 seconds. The horizon entered the red light. And then, the galaxy exploded in white. A silent flash brighter than any star tore through the darkness, swallowing the swarm, the hive ship, and half the Terran fleet. But in that blinding moment, humanity struck back. The white explosion spread through the dead star system like a new sun being born. For a moment, there was no darkness, only light, endless and pure. The shockwave tore through harvester ships, breaking their red veins and burning their metal bodies into drifting ash. The hive ship, the giant monster of glowing darkness, screamed without sound. Its core cracked under the human overload, splitting open like a shattered heart. Then everything went silent. The universe returned to darkness. For several seconds, no human ship moved. The comms were quiet. The screens were dark. Only drifting debris floated gently through space. Burned metal, broken harvester fragments, and glowing particles of the explosion. On the horizon, emergency lights flickered on. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Half the screens were dead. Commander Rian Hale lay on the floor, breathing slowly. His uniform was burned, his head bleeding. But when he opened his eyes, he saw Lexa and Grant helping injured officers stand. He forced himself upright. Status of the fleet? He asked, voice weak. The sensor officer shook her head, tears in her eyes. Commander, most ships are gone. The volunteers, they triggered the overload. They saved us. Rian swallowed hard. He felt the weight of every sacrifice. And the harvesters? Lexa checked the remaining sensors. The swarm is broken. The hive ship is destroyed. Their signals are fading. They lost their mind. Grant whispered, We did it. We actually did it. But victory felt heavy. It did not feel like cheers. It felt like silence after losing someone important. Only 6 human ships remained, scarred, burning, and drifting without full control. The horizon, once powerful, now looked like a dying machine. The alien survivor from the cryopod appeared on the medbay screen. Its eyes were full of emotion, fear, relief, and deep sorrow. You, humans, it whispered. You did what no world ever did. You stood against the harvesters. You saved many galaxies with your sacrifice. Rian nodded slowly. We only did what needed to be done. The alien lowered its head respectfully. My people died, but their warning reached you. And because of your courage, their death was not empty. Outside the viewport, the last fragments of the hive ship floated past like glowing red snow. Lexa looked at Rian with a sad smile. We should send a message to human space. They need to know the harvesters are gone. They need to honor the ones we lost. Rian nodded. Prepare the final message. The comms officer typed with shaking hands. Message ready, Commander. Rian took a deep breath. This is Commander Rian Hale of the Terran Expedition Fleet. He began. We answered a distress call from deep space. We found a broken world, a dying star, and an enemy that devours life. He paused, remembering the faces of volunteers who had smiled with courage before flying into the swarm. We could not let the harvesters reach human space. To protect our home, many of our ships triggered a massive overload. Their sacrifice destroyed the hive ship and ended the swarm. His voice broke slightly. They gave their lives to save billions. They fought in the dark so others could live in the light. Lexa wiped her eyes. Rian finished softly. We answered the SOS. We did not run. We stood together, and humanity endured. The message was sent across the stars. The remaining ships changed course, engines flickering weakly as they began the long journey home. As the horizon drifted forward, the alien survivor looked out a window beside a medic. "What will you do now?" Lexa asked it gently. The alien answered with quiet determination. "I will warn other galaxies. I will tell them about humans, about your courage, about your sacrifice." Rian listened, feeling a mournful pride. "Make sure they know," he said softly. "Humanity fights for more than itself." The alien nodded. "They will know." The Horizon's engines flared weakly as it joined the surviving ships, moving toward the future, carrying the memory of every brave soul who fell. Behind them, the Dead Star system remained quiet. The SOS had been answered. The price had been paid, and humanity lived on.